Our goal is to help bring people back to themselves and open your heart. We say connect to your heart and pivot to your purpose.
This podcast is all about authentic conversations. It's all about growth, love, respect, success, mind, body, and spirit. If you're looking to grow and expand in your life and become your authentic self, this is the podcast for you. Hi, you guys. Welcome back to AuthenticTalks. I'm really excited because we do have another amazing show for you. This week, our guest is a certified life and business coach, an NLP practitioner, and Reiki Master level teacher. She has a bachelor's degree in psychology, a master's degree in business, and is the author of This Is Where You Pivot, The Shift from Fear to Freedom. In addition, she is also a mom of 4 children, a dog lover, and a pastry chef. Please welcome to the show, Elizabeth Miles. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi, how are you, Shanta?
I am good. I am really excited to have you here today. And I know that my listeners, they say, you say that on every show. It's because I have the absolute best guest on the show. And this week is no different than any other. I have you. And of course, you are unique in your own way. And I absolutely love your book.
Thank you. Let me start there. I'm very grateful. So thank you.
You are an author, and Your book is This Is Where You Pivot. And I absolutely fell in love with this book because it just reminded me so much of things that I've gone through in my life. The shift from fear to freedom. Fear was my thing that held me back for about 5 years. What motivated you to write this book?
This book, This Is Where You Pivot. I was literally hiking, or at getting ready to hike a mountain. We had gotten to our campsite. I was standing by the stream and literally heard the voice that said, "This is where you pivot." And I had zero idea where it was coming from, what it meant. You know, I had taken a dive into spirituality and Reiki and mindfulness, but this was like a loud call. And I kind of said it in the back of my mind because I was like, what? And then the next day, as we're hiking the mountain, This Is Where You Pivot just kept coming up. And I realized in that hike just how much I was preventing myself from enjoying this beautiful park, being in this beautiful space and enjoying the experience. I was literally talking myself out of the positive because I was so afraid. And I just kept hearing, "This is where you pivot. This is where you pivot." And then we got back to the camp after the hike and I started to journal because it was literally this release of an experience for me. And the book started to just kind of download out. And I realized it was not just in that moment on that hike. How many other times in my life did I prevent myself from doing things that I truly wanted to do because I was talking myself out of it in fear. And my goal for the book is I want to short circuit that for other people. If my story can speak to someone else who's going through the same thing and help them see that we don't have to kind of live in that fear, we can choose something else for ourselves, then that gives you back that power for your life.
Absolutely. I love that. I had gone through, fear will hold you back too. It will stop you from becoming your authentic self and moving toward in your life's purpose. That's what it did for me. And I just have like a entirely whole new way of looking at life. And it feels good because I'm learning every single day. Every day. Everyone knows that you're an author now. Can you give us a little bit about your background? Now, I know they heard in the introduction, but I want you to share. You had mentioned something, and so I want to make sure that we cover absolutely everything that we can on the show so that everyone knows, who is Elizabeth?
I am the co-founder of the Healing Lotus Connection, which is a mindfulness wellness company based just outside of Philadelphia. We host pop-up workshops. Our goal is to help bring people back to themselves and open your heart. We say connect to your heart and pivot to your purpose. Because we have the power to create the life we love if we just listen to our heart and trust ourselves. And that's really the central mission to what we do. And components of that are Reiki, life coaching, yoga. But we want to make these experiences that we try to provide for our clients a fun experience. A lot of people that I talk with believe that mindfulness is sitting on a yoga mat and requires meditation. And that's a component of it, but it's not the only way to be present. And for us, that's really what we want. We want you to be present with yourself, but also we want to build a community around that. I am a life coach, life and business coach, certified NLP practitioner. I'm also a Reiki Master teacher and a former baker. So
Wow.
I've kind of worked in a lot of different facets of business. I owned my own bakery for a couple of years, ran some cooking classes and birthday parties, again, just outside of Philly. This is a pivot. This is part of the pivot for me too, was pivoting into healing Lotus connection.
That is super duper awesome. Now, I'm going to back up a little bit. What is Reiki?
Sure. I love Reiki. So Reiki is universal life force energy. So we are all made of energy. Energy is all around us. And what Reiki as a practice does is kind of channel that energy that's all around us in the universe through the practitioner to the client. If you imagine a funnel, the universal life force energy is kind of the big part of the funnel, and the practitioner or the teacher is like that small part. So the universal energy comes through the funnel down to the practitioner and out the practitioner's hands to the client. And really what you're doing, the best way that I feel like I explain Reiki is your body knows what to do. We are so intuitive, as your body can heal itself, but we are so busy. We have so much going on. Stress causes blockages in our own energy flow. So what Reiki does is it can help bring you back to this kind of just peace. And it allows you to kind of take some time to rest so that your body can get to work to do the things it needs to do to kind of clear away the blockages and really get to the root of what's happening for your body. So we like to say when we do a Reiki share or are with a client, Reiki's like a big bear hug.
Okay.
We as practitioners are not actually doing the healing. We're just channeling that energy to you as the client. Really, you can do it for yourself. You don't necessarily need a practitioner to practice Reiki. It's something that we all have access to. It doesn't matter what religion or what the belief. It really is just something that's accessible to all of us and can bring us back to a state of peace, relaxation, and really a state of love. For me, Reiki was something that kind of brought back my spirituality. I had been working with a business coach who was also offering Reiki, and she gave me a healing session, and it's kind of booted back up my intuitive side, and I've been in love and studying it ever since. So
for our listeners, so if I were to attend a Reiki session, what would that look like?
There's a couple ways you could do it. Usually what happens is you come in and you're laying like on a massage table almost. You could do it distance wise, you could do it in your bed. You can just lay there, but it could be done in a chair. It could be on a yoga mat. It could be sitting up. There's really no official way. Like, you're not stretching usually. It's just very much like you're sitting or laying down, relaxed, eyes closed. Could cover yourself with a blanket if you wanted to. I usually get cold when I Reiki, or when I'm receiving Reiki, I should say. So I'll cover myself with a blanket. You can be nice and cozy, and you just want to lay there. And the only thing that we ask is, one, you don't cross your arms or legs because that can block the flow of energy. And you come in with an open mind and a willingness to receive the energy that's flowing to you. But really, you don't have to do anything. It's just lay there and be open.
So I'm just laying there, and am I meditating or am I focusing on anything? Or
when I like to tell my clients just to kind of breathe, you can fall asleep, and that's totally fine. You really are just kind of laying there, and it can be hands on or hands off. It doesn't really matter. And the practitioner, I usually start either at the crown, because we all have chakras in our body. There are 7 major ones, but they're really all over. So I'll start at the crown chakra usually, or the heart. The crown is at the top of your head, and start the session there. And then intuitively just kind of let the energy tell me where to go from there. And the nice part with Reiki is that it allows this connection between the practitioner and the client, where we're kind of tuned into each other's energy. So I can kind of feel where the blockages are, or where you might need a little bit more TLC, and can focus the energy there.
Dang, that's
but
awesome.
As the receiver, it's very passive for you. You don't really have to do anything. Some clients, they'll get cold. Like I said, I get cold usually during Reiki. You could get hot. You could start to see colors or orbs, in your field of vision. Some feel nothing at all, and that's completely okay. Everybody has a little bit different of a sensory experience when they come to a Reiki session, and it's all okay.
And you mentioned chakras, and that we have like 7 main chakras.
So they kind of travel up the base of your spine. I could talk about chakras all day.
Oh.
But we don't need to go into too much detail, but there's the root, there's your sacral chakra, your solar plexus, your heart, there is your throat, your third eye, and your crown. There are 3 masculine chakras, and 3 feminine, and where they meet in the middle is the heart. So the masculine chakras are all very much like outward, projecting out, where the feminine chakras are more receptive. When you think about your root chakra, that's a very masculine chakra. It's all about tribe and where you come from, and grounding yourself here into the present and the now. And then we have, your crown, which is very much open. It's at the top of your head. It's more of the feminine. You're receiving from the divine. You're receiving from source or from the universe. So they are all up your spine. They can be your solar plexus.
So I've heard your chakras, when they're blocked, you have different things. So can we go through it? Like, so if my crown chakra was blocked, what would I experience? How would I know that it was blocked?
So the crown, that's a good question, because the crown chakra is, like I said, it's like your access point to the divine, to your spirit guides, to the messages that come in through the universe. So if your crown chakra is blocked, you're not hearing what the universe is telling you. So when you think about like manifestation, trusting your intuition is a big part of that. But if you're not hearing those messages, it's really hard to follow the intuition. Like, it's almost like your higher self can't get through. Physically, how that might come through is headache. You could have ear problems. Like, it's not coming through your mind, really. Like, you're just not hearing, you're not seeing what is coming from the universe, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. And then we have, you mentioned that then the next major one is the throat chakra. What would that look like if it was blocked?
Well, so coming down, it would be your crown and then your third eye, which is right between your eyebrow, essentially. It's like right at the top of your nose between your eyebrows. That's your third eye. That's kind of like where you see, it's like your sensory out into the world. It's like if you think of a clairvoyant, or, someone who can see, they have a very open third eye, and they're able to kind of see into the different realms. So if you have a blocked third eye, you're not seeing everything. The kind of like, you're not seeing the big picture. And then traveling down then is your throat, and that is like projecting out, using your voice with confidence. If your throat is blocked, you sometimes have throat issues, sore throat. You could have, your throat might kind of get,
you mean like if you're trying to communicate, you're not able to articulate it?
Correct. You may find that there are some disorders that start to come up when you notice that you aren't communicating well. And here's the interesting part about the throat chakra. When I was a kid, I used to sing all the time. I was in the choir, the chorus. Anytime I could get a chance to sing, I would. And then what would happen over time, all this stuff started happening, and I was being teased and bullied, and the abuse started happening in my relationship. And it just, I, over time, I realized I could not sing anymore. I couldn't carry a tune. And then not that long after I wrote the book, I realized I was singing in my car one day and I was like realizing like, oh, that doesn't sound bad. And then over time I would sing more and that the voice started to come back. The only thing I can really attribute it to is just the healing process itself and finding my voice and feeling more confident in that. And so we underestimate the power of our voices. But in terms of like Reiki and blockages in the chakra, my throat had been blocked for a really long time. And for me, that was one of the ways it manifested. I couldn't sing anymore.
Wow, so that it's really important. I know that there's some people that don't understand chakras or believe that that is a real thing. And
I feel like even if you don't believe in chakras per se, I think there's something undeniable about energy itself. And energy is everywhere and energy is infectious. You know, when you think of going into a situation where the person in front of you is happy and very open and their heart's open wide, and you can almost tell because they're standing like the very tall, shoulders back, heart is literally facing you open, and they have this big smile on their face and bright eyes. Like, you can't deny that energy being infectious.
it's so true. It's
Whether you
absolutely
believe
true.
in chakras or Reiki, you can feel and see that. And the opposite is true. If you're with someone who is very negative, you can almost start to take on that energy. You can at least feel it. And in a lot of ways, if you aren't aware of it, you can take on that energy for yourself, which brings you down.
I've become very protective of my energy, and I can walk into a room, Elizabeth, and I can tell you who the heavy hitters are that are negative in the room. And what I typically do is I try to avoid having a ton of interactions with them whenever I'm vibing low. And you can just feel it, like you said. So energy is very transferable, and it's a real thing. I know that sometimes I'll just stay quiet and I'll just go, but I feel it.
Yeah, I mean, it's so great to hear that you say that, because I guess, would you consider yourself to be an empath then?
You know, I heard that from a young lady. And then, I had a couple guests that told me the same thing. And so I think that I am, based off of the research that I've done. I have to be careful because if someone is depressed, I'll find myself taking on their emotion of being depressed. If they're super happy, I take on that emotion. If they're going through whatever it is, it's like I feel it. And there's so much I could talk, Elizabeth, until midnight about all the experiences, but I'm not going to do that. But I do think that I could. I think I am. I've been trying to learn a little bit more about the other ones, like this. Is it a star seed or a stardust or something?
Yeah, so that is one of the, I guess you would call them extraterrestrial. It's like another, I hate to use the word species, but it's like another dimension from where beings have come from. There's star seeds, there's Pleiades, there's several of them. And I'll be honest, I don't know all of them, but that's like a whole other conversation,
Yeah,
which
I
is
understand.
fascinating, to think about the origin of where people have come from. And it kind of transcends the whole conversation just in terms of like ancestors here on the planet. That conversation about, the ancestry here, but that's an even bigger conversation.
Some of it is like new to me, and I was like, what are the, like, if there's an empath, what is the other? I was trying to do some research to find out how many different categories, I guess, were there, like, as far as like, okay, you're an empath. That's the only one I'm hearing.
I will say this. Usually you hear like empath narcissists is one very classic relationship where the empath is taking on the energy of the narcissist. Here's my kind of spin on it. We all have the ability to be an empath. That's my take on it. Because we have access, if we are open and allowing ourselves to understand who is in front of us, and we are allowing ourselves to be in tune with the energy of where we are, and we're present and we're mindful, you can feel the energy around you. And it becomes very, I don't want to say it's easy, but you can tap into like you said, you can feel kind of who's low vibing in the day when you're there. If you allow yourself that space to be present with that energy, we all have access to that. In some ways, I feel like labeling people as quote unquote empath is not really fair, because everybody has the access to it. It's just whether you are open to it and aware of it. And for a long time, I didn't realize that I was picking up on other people's energy. It took a long time to get to the point where I understood that. And we can all remove ourselves from it in a way. Like, we can cleanse our energy, we can shield our energy, you can stay away from that energy, but ultimately we all have the ability to do it.
Yeah, I've had that since I was a kid.
Yeah. And you know what? It's not uncommon to hear that, because if you think, like, as kids, we're so open. We don't know any better. Not that we don't know any better, but we haven't been programmed to disbelieve or to not think that magic is possible. You know, we're not really, we're just so open as kids. And then we get to a point, and the same thing happened for me. I got to a point as a kid where I wasn't intuitive anymore. Like, I kind of shut that down because I thought it was wrong, and I thought I didn't know what was happening. And it went away for a long time. Then I realized, like, wait, no, this can be part of my life. Like, this is okay. And it was a part that opened me back up to spirituality. It's not uncommon for it to happen. You know, as a child, you may feel like you are very aware of the energy that's around you, but we don't know how to label it. We don't know how to talk about it. We don't have that vocabulary to express what's happening. And again, so as kids, what happens is we just start acting out, and then we're labeled as bad kids.
Yeah.
So
speaking of that, okay, you know how we were talking about the chakras? I want to go back to that. There's so much, Elizabeth, that we're going to talk about. So going back to the chakras, you know how nowadays, well, you know, I don't know, maybe like as much as 30 years ago, all of a sudden everyone was hyper, you know, they were like, oh, your kid needs Ritalin or whatever the medicine is. Is that something that, like, does that mean like their chakra, the base or the crown or chakra was closed, or is that totally different? Am I off on?
So I don't want to say yes or no.
Okay.
Because here's my take on it. So I was medicated for years. I had been diagnosed with bipolar. Like, I had been in mental health treatment for a really long time and struggling. I definitely see a need and a place for medication for mental health. There are people out there that definitely need it. That is not to say that I also don't think that there is an over medication out there, because there's not enough awareness within quote unquote being an empath, you know, per se. My personal experience is that the medications that I was on were not effective. They caused me more harm than good. That is not the case for everyone. And there are people that do get benefit from it. I don't want to say that it's just the case of, you know, their chakras blocked and they really just need Reiki to open them back up, because that's not the case for everyone.
I understand.
So yeah. It's kind of a touchy subject.
I totally understand what you're saying. It's like it can't be like a blanket for every single human. It's almost like us saying there's only one medicine to take care of a headache, when Excedrin works for someone and then maybe Tylenol, I guess, would work for someone else. So I get what you're saying. And then we don't want people coming after us, like emailing me and like, you know,
right. No, I mean,
you said
ultimately it's about, you know, the choices, and if it's working for you as a patient, great. You know, whatever works for you is the way to go. I'm not anti-medication. I'm not anti-medicine. I'm not one that is okay with over or unnecessary medication. I lean very much towards the integrative approach, where go to the doctor, get the tests done, get the shots. If you need medication because your body needs it, take it. But there are also other approaches to healthcare that, oh my gosh, healthcare could be a whole other episode. But
I know, right?
I am very big into integrative approaches to healthcare preventative, but then also if something happens, integrative approaches to fixing it for you. And again, I do go back to a lot. Your body knows what to do. We just need to give ourselves time and space to do it. And if that means you need to go to the doctor and you need to be in treatment, then go. That is very much part of, and that includes therapy. Like, that's very much part of you doing what you need to make yourself well.
Yeah, do the work. Gotta do the work.
Yes. Yes. So I think there's a lot of ways, when chakras are blocked, that there's a lot of people that will say that that is the cause of disease, because your body is no longer at ease when the energy is not flowing through. And I do believe that, but that's not to say that, energy work is the only way to get there, and that it's for everyone. Because ultimately you have to be open to receiving that energy. So if you're not, that's not going to be the best case for you in that moment, if that makes sense.
That absolutely does make sense. Going back to those chakras. So we have our crown, our third eye, and our throat. And then what do we have next?
Then you have your heart.
Our heart chakra. And then what would that look like if it was closed?
A closed heart chakra. So if you think of the closed heart chakra, you are not loving yourself. You're very closed off to love. And that's not just romantic love. That's very much also loving who you are. So that's the nuts and bolts of the heart. It's your compassion towards others. It's your ability to forgive. It's your ability to have grace and just kind of just be present in the universe in a loving, human kindness kind of way.
Got it. Wow. I think I have run into some people, Elizabeth, who have their heart chakra closed.
Yeah. And you know what? A lot of us walk around with closed heart chakras, and we get hurt. It's so easy to hurt another person, whether we intend to or not. We live in a society that it's not always okay, or we're taught to believe it's not okay to talk about how we feel or to talk about things that closes our heart chakra. We need to be able to let go of the.
So your heart chakra is, you were saying, like the Grinch?
Yeah. So if your heart chakra is closed, or if someone that you're with, their heart is closed, think of the Grinch. He was grumpy. He, couldn't, really he's like the ultimate example of this. He just wasn't enjoying life and the people around him, and he couldn't appreciate what he had or what could have been around him. He was really mean and nasty and couldn't have compassion. That was a closed heart. So as soon as we allow ourselves to open our heart, and it's a choice, because you don't have to, but if your heart is closed, you're not able to feel the love that is around you, and you're not always able to give it. And sometimes your heart is closed and you think you're giving love, but it's in a way that's really more ego based, and like, I hate to say self-serving, but it's kind of self-serving. I did that for a really long time. I didn't realize my heart was closed, and I thought I was giving from a good place, and really I was giving from a place of like wanting to control and wanting it to be one-sided. And that's not what love is. So it was really hard to have compassion. The heart chakra is a big one.
That's interesting. I noticed for myself that I am super overprotective of myself, is what I call it. And I was wondering if that means that half of my chakra is closed in my heart.
I mean, it's possible. It could also be your solar plexus, which is the next one down. And that's where your confidence center comes in, and how you show yourself in the world in terms of standing tall and being proud of who you are. If you feel like you are kind of shielding yourself. I am
an extrovert everywhere else, but I notice in certain environments I am quiet, conservative, and just really super conservative, and I don't really go out of my way to talk to a lot of people. I have to really feel comfortable and like I am in a safe space to nowadays to like talk to people. I mean, like, I'm talking when I'm out in the world, but I'm someone who loves to talk to people. But in certain environments, I notice that I think that I just feel their energy, honestly.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily think that's a function of blocked energy per se, as much as it is you're just aware of what's going to affect you after you're there.
Right.
And to me, that means you are very open. um, I mean, yeah, but if you are very like reserved and we're talking to the extreme, right? There's nothing wrong with being like a shy, quiet, or reserved person, but if you really feel like you know that you are always kind of protecting yourself, is it because of perhaps you're not confident, which would come from your solar plexus?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you protecting your heart? I could have a million questions for this.
Right. I understand. I think
Because
for
it could
me,
almost be any number of any one of the chakras.
I see past the mask.
Mm-hmm.
I feel it past the mask. And so sometimes I can feel the energy of the person even when they're walking past me.
No,
People,
I can totally understand. Here's what I'll say to you. I think that that is not something to feel bad about. I think that that is something that you're very much aware of it and you're very in tune to it. And I think that your higher self or your intuition is telling you something is not right here. And that's not to say that they're a bad person, but
exactly. They
you
just
know,
don't vibe with me, you know?
exactly. You're just not on the same wavelengths. And that's okay. Like, trust that, honor that, and accept that. And you can go back and meditate as to why. Like, maybe there is some sort of trauma or something that, we need to heal from in those cases because it's triggering in that energy. But that's not always the case. A lot of times it is, just your intuition trying to tell you, hey, wait, this really isn't a safe place. And
Yeah.
that's
And
okay.
you know what? Yeah, I'm going to go with that it's my intuition because I've felt things before and I've tried to share it with other people. And then it took a long time, like nearly a year, for them to see what I seen right away. Like, I don't want to be that person that's like, you're so negative. Oh my gosh, this person is amazing. So I stay out of it. And then when that moment happens, I can be like, oh, okay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
depends on who it is. And so, yeah, I stay out of it.
Allow yourself to feel into that and really see that that's, if you know that, that's amazing because one of the hardest things that we can do is trust our intuition because a lot of times it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't make sense and we want to like turn it off because we're like, but this doesn't make sense. I have no reason to think this, so I'm just not going to listen.
Yeah, I am not perfect and I'm still growing and learning and on my journey every day. And so I am not closed to certain things to where I think that like I just know everything. But my intuition feels like it's just on point. It
Yeah,
feels
then
good.
trust it.
Yeah.
Go with it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I feel like that's something we don't talk enough about is trusting ourselves. There are so many systems and rules and things out there that will tell you, this is the answer, and that's not always the case for everybody. And
Mm-hmm.
so we have literally the power within us to know exactly what is right for us in the moment. We just need to trust that. So I'm like super excited that we're talking about this, whether you intended it or not. But I think it's so important for people to hear that their intuition is valid
Mm-hmm.
and what they're thinking and feeling is that, respect it. And when your heart's open, that's a lot easier to do. I'll say that too.
Mm-hmm. After our heart chakra, what's next? You said it's a
That's
solar
your solar
plex?
plexus. Yeah, that's where your confidence comes from.
What does that look like? Is that like where I have a hard time when someone says, "Oh, you look nice today." I can say thank you, but if they say one more thing past that, I can't take it. I
Yeah,
can't.
that might be a solar plexus issue.
Okay.
um, like just your confidence. If you feel like if you think about body language, right?
Mhm.
Someone who's not confident may kind of cross their arms and kind of cover up if in that moment, like when someone gives you a compliment and you like close up and go, yeah, thanks, but if you say that one more time, I'm like gonna scream.
Yeah,
it
that's
it
me. I
Yeah,
can't
you're
stand
not
up.
confident in who you are.
There's this other thing that happens where I'm like, it's my birthday. I expect that people will put balloons there, but then whenever they do, I totally love it. But like when people start walking by and they're like, "Oh, it's your birthday, happy birthday," I'm like, "Oh, thank you." It's like I noticed that I love to give compliments and I love to let everyone know how amazing they are. I just need to learn how to say thank you more often. And I'm not sure
Well,
what.
I think this is good that we're talking about this too. And because you've already said you're very intuitive and very much aware of the energy that's around you.
Mm-hmm.
So intention has a lot to do with it. And I think that from everything you've told me so far, I would say that perhaps you can also feel behind the intention of what's going on, which could also be why it's uncomfortable to receive that compliment. Because if you know that it's like, yeah, we want to be acknowledged on our birthday, but if you know that a person or coworker is never going to talk to you any other day of the year but that day, perhaps their intention is not always true. And
Mm-hmm.
so maybe you're feeling into the intention. Is You know what I mean?
Yeah. Huh.
Because intention is everything. um so important, and you as a person who genuinely wants someone to feel good and you want to give that out, that intention can also be felt and come through. So when you are saying to someone, you look nice today, you genuinely mean it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not, they may, but maybe they don't, and maybe you're feeling their intention as well.
I like that. That totally makes sense. Okay, and then now after our solar plex, what do we have next?
That's your sexuality as well.
Say
That's
that
the
one.
fun chakra. So the sacral chakra, it's where your creative center is. It's the fun chakra. It's like your play, your sexuality. Um, if this is closed, you are not having enough fun in your life, whether that's sex or not. That's neither here nor there. But you're not. If you find yourself not doing things that are fun to you or not wanting to try new things and have fun and enjoy life, that's a closed sacral chakra.
Oh man. That means that you're not living.
Exactly.
All right. And then what's the next one we have?
So that would be the root chakra. That's at the base of your spine, like at the very bottom. And that's really how we ground into the earth. That's our roots, where we come from, who we are, our tribe, um, all the stuff we tell ourselves about who we are and where we came from. That's our root. Family of origin, a lot of stuff that we learn comes and that impacts our root chakra comes from our family of origin. It's what we grow up with. And the stronger the root, the harder it is to pluck it out.
Mm-hmm.
So but yeah, that's our root chakra.
If someone wanted to open these chakras, they could go to someone like yourself for Reiki
Yep. So you
or.
can do Reiki. There's several different modalities for healing work, or for energy work. Reiki is just one component, one method. There's pranic healing, which is like, I call it Reiki 2.0, because you're literally going in and feeling the chakras and pulling out the blockages for the person. It's almost like an energetic surgery.
You could feel where it is when you're doing
Yeah,
that.
it's pretty amazing. There's qigong, there's acupuncture, there's Reiki is one component, one way that you can unblock these blockages.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing, but again, it's not necessarily something that's right or meant for everyone. And I think a lot of it is just because there's not a lot of understanding for what it is, and that's scary. And I get that. But you don't have to come to me for a Reiki session. Like, we can do it distance wise. So yeah, it could be in person or not.
What would that look like?
I still like to have some kind of a face-to-face interaction, like a Zoom call. If I'm going to do a distance healing, I like to have that communication with my client. And then, we would talk a little bit. I would kind of be able to read your energy. I tune in, and then I can just, once I'm tuned into your energy, I can still let the energy do its thing, and it's going to guide me intuitively as to what you need. And then I can still channel the energy. The nice part is it's universal, which is why you don't have to be in front of me in order for it to work. Like, I can almost tell the universal life force energy where to go, but you don't have to be in front of me for that to happen. It's amazing. And I'll say this, the very first Reiki treatment, that coach that I had lived in Canada, and I live in Philadelphia, and I felt it. So I say that because I used to be, years and years and years ago, someone that was like, that does not make sense. How can that be possible? I can say that it was all real. I could feel it. I knew exactly where she was working. I could feel every part of that treatment and could start to see the colors. And I knew when she was done because I would not feel cold anymore. It sounds so, our like egoic human brain wants to be like, there's no way that's possible. We can't, no, it doesn't make sense. But I can say that it's a real thing.
You just can't deny it. You mentioned yoga. Is yoga similar as far as moving energy through your body like Reiki?
I would say yes. In Healing Lotus, I'm not the yoga instructor. That would be my co-founder, Nikki. From what I've experienced as a yoga student, yes, like you're moving that energy. It's similar to Qigong, which is another like energy movement, very sort of similar to yoga in ways, practice, but you're moving that through your breath. And when you connect with your breath, that can help unblock you. So you're doing these postures in yoga intended to kind of relieve some of those blocks.
That's awesome.
And it brings you back to a state of awareness. I took my daughters to a warrior sculpt class tonight, which was unlike any other yoga class I've ever taken, and it was amazing. But it literally, like, it forces you to be very mindful, because a lot of times those postures, not that they're hard, but if you are not allowing yourself to be present and in the moment and connect to your breath, it makes it harder to do them.
I found that it's hard. Like for me, just certain poses.
And some of those, I'm not doing handstands or anything yet. That's hard to me. But if you do not connect to your breath, it is certainly way more challenging than if you allow it. You just allow it. I have found through yoga practice to also be a little bit more in tune with what my body needs and respect the fact that some days I can just bend a little bit more than others. And it doesn't have to be the full force, full thing all the time. Sometimes enough is just enough. And that's okay. Like, honor your body and where you are in that moment. And to me, that's what yoga has brought for me, is like that understanding and awareness of, okay, what's my body feeling now? Maybe some days my twists aren't as deep and I have to honor that. Or do I connect with my breath a little bit more and go a little bit deeper?
I might one of these days find a friend to go with me, because the last time I tried it, I had a brick. Like, it was like this foam brick, and it was poses, and I was holding the brick down, and I was shaking, and I had to have my
There
leg
are ways
up.
you can modify. So here's the thing. It depends on a couple of things. Your openness to it. Take a friend. That certainly makes it easier too. And the instructor and the approach. There's all different styles of yoga, which I didn't realize at first before I started practicing. Be open to all of them and then find the one or several ones that resonate with you and your style. And that's the other thing that I really love, is that there are all of these different ways that you can practice yoga, and they're all good. They're all valid. They're all great. They'll help you if that is what resonates for you, and give it a try. Nikki, if you lived near Philly, we'd come to you. Nikki will go to your house and do private in-home yoga, because we do hear a lot, I'll go to yoga when I'm more flexible. And we say, no, like, go now, because it will help you be more flexible. But don't be afraid. It's just really about finding the class and the instructor that is going to work for you. Similar to what you've already said, like, you're just not vibing with someone. The same can be true for a yoga instructor or a Reiki practitioner, and that's totally okay.
Well, I want to let you know, Elizabeth, I love you. If I lived in Philly, I would come to you. Wherever you're at, for any services that you offer, I would be there.
We'd love to have you.
Yeah.
We hope to be traveling in the next year, so I'll let you know if we're in your area.
Yeah, I'm out here in Arizona. I'd round up some people and we come on out and see you wherever you're at, or you come here. Either way, at the Lotus Connection, you mentioned like several things. Can you walk me through again with the services that you offer there? It's called the Healing Lotus.
Yep, Healing Lotus Connection. So we call ourselves a Choose Your Own Mindful Adventure Story, and we do these pop-up workshops where you can come and we kind of pull together different components within mindfulness. So you may do yoga, we may do journaling, I may do some sort of like a life coaching activity with you, we may go for a walk. We try to build your mindfulness toolbox to bring you back to the present. And at the end of the workshop or class, you can say, thanks so much, that was great, and you're done. Or you can choose to go to another class, or you can work with either one of us one-on-one on an individual level if you want to go a little bit deeper with it.
So
But we do life coaching, we do energy work. I'm Reiki, and Nikki is a pranic energy healer, and we do offer sessions combined as a joint effort as well. You can do yoga, we do Reiki shares, pretty much a little bit of everything within those concepts. We also offer it where both of us are there with you at the same time, where she's doing a pranic energy session and doing Reiki at the same time. That's just another way that we have found benefit for our clients. But yeah, you could come to me for life coaching and go to her for private yoga. We like to combine it. It's really about you and where you are in your journey. And we want to help you get where you want to go. So if that is life or business coaching, great. If it's yoga, you need to be able to connect with that in that way. Great. We're here to support you.
Going back to your book, there's a human connection here. You talk about gratitude in the book in chapter 12. Can you share what gratitude means to you and how that can help all of us having a sense of gratitude?
Yeah. So for me, gratitude is being grateful for everything. It's not just about the money in your bank. It's not just about the big stuff, but gratitude is so important, because when you're in a state of appreciation for living and for what you have, you radiate out this energy that is like undeniable, like allowing life to happen. And you're grateful. I say to myself every morning, I'm grateful I got up today. And I mean that. Like, I can feel into that. Being grateful for the sun, being grateful for having a bed to go to sleep on tonight and a blanket, being grateful for my car. Gratitude is so important.
It feels good. Have you noticed that having gratitude, it feels so good?
It feels so good. Like, just to say, and it's not, I guess for me, it's not enough just to say it. Like, really feel what that gratitude is like. Like, yes, I am so stinking grateful that technology exists and we get to have this conversation, that we get to connect.
Yes.
And there's levels to gratitude. You can go pretty deep with it. Like, I'm grateful when you're standing in line at like Starbucks, and I'm grateful for this cup of coffee. Well, I'm grateful for the person who made it for me. I'm grateful for where the beans came from. I'm grateful for the farmer who tended to those beans. I'm grateful for the truck that got it to me. Like, when you start to think of how amazing the universe is and all the things around us, and we're not in this little microcosm of our own little bubble, like, the world's this big place and we're all connected, and you can feel that gratitude for just how connected we all are when you allow yourself to have that practice. When you're having a kind of a crappy day, go to gratitude. Either turn on your favorite song or go to gratitude, because it will, when you start to feel into gratitude, it will change the energy of where you are in that moment at any given point.
You know what? I'm going to take that with me. I'm going to take that with me.
Tell everyone you know, because then the world will be a little bit better of a place.
Yes, absolutely. I love gratitude. Is something that sometimes I'm sitting there and I'm like surprised. I'm like, wow, I actually just feel good in this moment. And there's nothing special happening. I just feel good. Sometimes I'll just look at my husband and I'll just smile because I feel grateful and appreciative of the things that he does, and the things that he do. And I'll just look at him and I'm like, I look at my kids and I feel grateful. So I do understand what gratitude is all about. It is a feeling that it's hard to describe. You just feel it's a good feeling. Here's what happened to me. I used to have this thing about name brand purses and wallets. And when I started on my journey, because it's been some years, it's just that it evolved and it went to a whole nother level. It changed for me where I was no longer thinking that I feel like I know for a fact that I no longer need the materialistic things, which used to bring me that. It was those things mostly that brought me like, oh my gosh, look at this, I have like my Coach wallet, ooh, I'm moving up, I'm like the Jeffersons. And then so things are different now where I don't need that to have that feeling.
No, there's power there. Like, you're good. If you never got another one, you could be grateful with where you are that moment regardless.
Absolutely, regardless of having that coach
Did I lose
wallet.
you?
And
Yeah.
that's a good feeling, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Like there's a lot of love around you without needing another one.
I have to share this with you, Elizabeth. When I was reading your book, it gives me a sense like as if I know you, like on a personal level. Sharing your story, I'm not even sure how to describe it. It's just, I like the book a lot. It's good
Thank you.
stuff.
Well, I knew that there was no getting around sharing the story. There are certainly more places it could have gone, but I think it became what it needed to be. But I wanted to be a story that people know you're not stuck, you're not lost, and you're not alone. Those are the three things that I want people to take away. I've been there too, and if I'm the only one to say I've been there, then no, you're not alone, because we're going to go through it together. I've been there, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know your specific situation, but I get it. Ultimately, what I realized was I had a choice, and that every single day we have choices that we make. And I want people to really hear that. Like, you're never stuck. At any given point, you can make another choice, whether you're trying to get to work and you're stuck in traffic and somebody cuts you off, and like letting that kill your day, or you're climbing a mountain and you're scared to death. Like, literally, we
Mm-hmm.
have choices about how we show up in the world, and it's our power to take back. We don't have to stay there and feel powerless.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going through stuff, no, you're not alone, because
Mm.
I've been there. And I think that it's time, like, these stories come out and we talk about it, because we can help each other heal. We can help each other grow and expand. And we don't have to have this separation of, one person's better than the other, or, we can come back to love and open our hearts to be human again, and really just love each other enough to lift each other up and help each other through. So I'm super
Absolutely.
glad that you love the book. That I'm happy to hear it, that it can help other people.
You
Just
know?
pivot. I mean, it doesn't matter where you are right now. It's a choice. And I'll say this, like, the healing process is not easy. And we're afraid of it. We don't talk about it enough because it's scary, because it's uncomfortable. But it's on the other side of the mountain that is, and that's where the great stuff is. We just get afraid. We know it, like, intuitively. We're like, I know that if I just did this one thing, it would be okay. But we're afraid because we really don't know what's on the other side of the mountain. And sometimes it's like that bad discomfort that we just allow ourselves to sit in, because it's more comfortable than knowing what's going to happen when we actually take the step, if that makes any sense.
It does make sense. It makes
But
all the
take the
sense.
step. You can
Absolutely.
always pivot. Like, just make the choice. And there's freedom there. Like, you take that first step and make the pivot. That's where your freedom is. Like, you've taken your power back in that moment. You don't have to go to the other side of the mountain to feel that power. You can feel it right then and there.
Yes,
And standing on
Elizabeth.
that mountain, I was like, I knew I had a choice. I could either let it kill me, but I had to say, you are not going to kill me today. No, I have stuff to do. I have a life to live. I have kids at home. Like, no.
You're
uh,
right.
we're doing this. So that was the
Hmm.
freedom moment.
Well, I have to ask, Elizabeth. So, do you still hike today?
I do. Not quite
Yay!
scarily as though that hike was,
Yeah.
but it did not scare me away from hiking. And I will say that it has also opened me up to more experiences in terms of my physical fitness, because I was not in the best shape ever when I went on that hike. In the last year, I've lost about 130 pounds so far.
Wow. That is
There's
amazing.
more to go, but I've made some progress. But I realized, like, how strong I actually was. It didn't matter what my body looked like in the moment. I was stronger than that mountain. And so now, like, I'm huge into the gym. Yes, I still hike. I'm training for a 5K. I can't say enough about that and what it did for my respect for my body, and just an awareness for physical fitness, and just realizing how strong you are no matter what you look like.
Mm-hmm.
Feel into that and allow yourself to feel how strong you really are.
I love it. That's awesome. I absolutely love that. I had an epiphany as well when I was on a hike last year, and it's something that's very therapeutic.
Yeah. What was your epiphany? Or do you mind sharing?
No, I don't mind. On my hike, I felt like the beginning of me overcoming my fear. I always felt like I needed to be super duper extra in shape to do it, and I didn't want to have tights on and go. And when I went on that hike, when I looked up and seen how far we had to go with the naked eye, I said, "Oh, I got this." And as I started hiking, I realized that it curved. It was zigzagging. So it was way further than what I thought. And I started to get nervous. I was sweating. I was hot. And I was like, how much further do we have to go? We're almost there. I kept hearing that. And so now we're 45 minutes in. And I'm like, wait a minute. I started getting mad. And I wanted to give up. And there was something inside of me that wouldn't allow me to give up. And so I ended up making it up there. And I talked about that on my very first show called Evicting Fear. The story of going on that hike and how my husband was like, we're almost there. But I feel like that day I felt so accomplished once I made it to the end of the trail, the top of the mountain, to where it was the beginning of me opening myself up to step outside of my box and to do things that I've been wanting to do, because I felt like it was like I needed to be a certain weight or a certain size to do that hike. So that was really nice. It was good for me.
I totally get it. Because on the mountain, when I was climbing that mountain that day, I was like, I don't deserve to be here. I don't look the part. Everyone's like, I went right to judgment, and really I was judging myself because no one else cared, and I had to get over that.
Yeah.
But like I was watching these dogs like hike this mountain better than I could, and I was like, what? Like, why is that possible? Like I should be able to hike like everyone else and keep up with everybody. And I get that. I get where you were that day.
Yeah, I seen people running down and running up. And I was like,
yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is insane. They're running. But at that point, something happens once you're halfway in the trail. I think it's almost like survival, or like that thing of like not giving up. And so at that point, you see other people running by and you notice them. But once you start sweating and you're hot and tired and you're just like, I got to do this, it changes from the beginning of the trail. When you're halfway in, I started thinking, wow, I'm going to be like that one day. And it's like my negative thoughts started turning as I was going through that hike. It's like as I got closer.
That.
Yeah, it was like as I got closer and closer, it became more and more positive. And then it was like, yes, I made it. But then I had that moment of, oh man, now we got to go back down.
Yep. But you know what's so funny? That the down part's the easy part, because then you're like, you've done the hard work.
Oh my gosh, I feel like, don't make me feel like a total loser, because going down, I felt like I still had to, I felt like I would tumble if I didn't. My legs were still kind of using the muscles to brace myself going down.
Okay,
and
gotcha.
I was going sideways. Sometimes straight, and then I had to sit down to jump down. And this one was a tough hike that I went on, and we didn't know it was
going to. Were we on the same mountain? Because I swear that's the way I was. Like, seriously, I was like, I came to find out, I think I mentioned this in the book, I was like tripoding up this mountain, like I was on like 3 legs. It was ridiculous. Like, thinking about it now, I'm like, I kind of laugh at myself. But you know what? It is what it is in the moment. You do the best you can. You get yourself through.
Absolutely. So I definitely recommend to everyone to pick up this book. It's amazing stuff. Good stuff. And Elizabeth, if people wanted to find you, where could they find you?
They can find me at healinglotusconnection.com. That's the website. They can message us through Facebook at Healing Lotus Connection. We'd love to hear from you. On Instagram, we're at Healing Connection PA. Like that's like PA, like the state of Pennsylvania. healinglotusconnection@gmail.com. The book is available on Amazon in paperback and in Kindle. And then it's also available for digital download on Smashwords. That's where you can find the book. But I mean,
Mm.
I'd love to connect with you. So if anyone out there wants to chat, message me on social media. Elizabeth Miles is my name. Friend me and we can chat.
This is where you pivot. The shift from fear to freedom. I had this. I went through this, so it is so relatable. I understand, and fear is a thing, like I said before, will stop all of us from moving forward in our life. It'll keep us stuck, and so I love it. This is where you pivot.
I'm so glad. And the one thing I'll say, like I tell clients this all the time, like fear is never going away. Period. Like there's the shift from fear to freedom. Yes, we talk about that in the book. But the reality of the situation is fear is always going to be there. You're going to pivot and you're going to go, keep going on your path, right? But then fear is going to come up again and it's going to look a little bit different. But every time you allow yourself to feel it and overcome it, you're going to start to get really better. It's like a muscle. You're going to get better and better and better about overcoming it. And the more you allow yourself to feel it and understand it, the less, dare I say, detrimental, but like the less it's going to have the power to hold you back. It's still going to pop up. New situations are scary, but if you allow yourself to sit with it and understand it, it can no longer have power over you. It doesn't have to hold you back. It can just be like, let me sit with this, and move on. But it's like unpeeling. We say peeling back the layers of an onion or peeling the layers of a lotus. Every petal is like a different thing that you have to allow yourself to heal through or to process through in order to understand that fear and why you're letting it hold you back. But it's a choice. You don't have to. You can look at it, and when you do allow yourself to do that, you can pivot out of a situation with a new mindset. It doesn't mean that everything's perfect. It just means that you can go forward feeling better and stronger and more confident and more empowered.
Don't let it turn into a U-Haul truck or an 18-wheeler and sit there for 5 years.
Yes. No.
That's what happened to me. Let it go. That's right.
There are moments in life when you must make a decision. Do you stay where you are or move forward? It's not always an issue of choosing the easiest outcome. Sometimes you have to consider which option is best for you at the time, regardless of how easy it would be to choose differently or to walk away. Every day, we're charged with making decisions that affect our lives. It can get complicated, even uncomfortable. At times, it's downright painful. Those are the moments that can be the toughest to push through, but they can be the most rewarding at their conclusion. These are moments of growth, when we are pushed to move beyond what we perceive as our own limitations into something greater than we could have ever imagined. This is where you pivot.
I love it.
Yay!
Yeah, that's awesome. If someone wanted to know what is a life coach, what is that to you?
Oh, that's a good question. So to me, a life coach is like literally almost like your best friend and your worst nightmare at the same time. And I say that in the best and most loving of ways, because a life coach is going to help you clarify your vision, clarify your goals, understand your fear, and help push you through it. Like there's times when I have to hold my clients' hands, and there's times I literally have to kick their butts and be like, no, like let's look at this in a way that you may not like me during this conversation, but we're going somewhere. Trust me.
Yes.
But it's someone who's going to push you in a loving way towards what you want, but help you to understand that you can do it and you have everything you need to get the job done. And as a business coach, like there's also tools, like I don't want to make it sound like you have all of the answers, because sometimes part of personal development is learning skills. A life coach can help guide you as to what those skills are or where to find the resources you need, or can train you to learn those resources. So there's a lot of different components to it. We do a lot of mindset work in life coaching, but really it's about giving you the power back so that you see how strong you are. That's my approach to coaching. Like I want my clients to feel empowered and strong, so by the time we're done working together, like you may need to come back to me and be like, I need a little tune up, but it's not like, you got this. That doesn't mean you have all the answers, but you can certainly feel empowered to help yourself. That's my goal. And that means, if it's someone, there's a part in our website where I talk about experiential life coaching. I will go with you to a class. Like sometimes you just need someone to hold your hand, like you with the yoga class. You're like, maybe I'll get my friend to go with me. I would be that friend to go with you. So at the end, we'll talk about what you were afraid of before and how you feel now. So you can see.
Shucks, Elizabeth, you have committed yourself to being that friend.
It's on. We're going to yoga.
Heck yeah.
We're going to find a yoga class. We're going to do it. But I want people to feel like they can do it and they really don't have to feel alone, because when you get there, there's this community already there waiting for you. But sometimes it's just about getting there, getting to the door. And I'm happy to hold your hand and take you to yoga, Shanta.
Yay! I got a yoga partner.
And anyone else who wants to join us, because we're with Healing Lotus, we also community is a big part of this. We're not alone in this world, and human connection is so important for us as individuals, as a society. Like we have the phone and that's great. We have technology, but we need really good, strong interaction, positive people in our lives, and we need to be with people. So community is a big part. So anyone else, when we go to yoga, you're all welcome.
Yay! I have a buddy, Suzanne, that I know would definitely be down.
Susan, get ready. We're coming.
Yeah. You guys, that was an amazing show. I really enjoyed speaking with Elizabeth. It was so much fun. I love that talk. I want you to remember this, that you have the power to trust your intuition. How many times have you had a gut feeling, but you didn't listen to it? You were like, I'm not sure. And it's like you didn't trust it. And that's what I wanted to reiterate for you today, is that we all have that ability. We all have the power within ourselves. If you tap within, you guys know like what that feeling feels like, and you just have to really listen to it. My husband was sharing a story with me about how for 3 days in a row he had this feeling that he should call his mother. He didn't call her. I think he said he had it 3 times within one particular day, and he always said, I call her every Thursday. Today's not Thursday. It was only like Monday at that time, and it turned out where he never had a chance to make that last phone call because she had passed away. And he always reminds me, and that is the story that he shares when he talks about that gut feeling and having intuition. We all have had something in our life where we had that feeling, whether it was about moving your car or moving to a completely different location, or that feeling that you should find another job or go back to school. Whatever it is, it's like we all have had it, and I'm just encouraging everyone tuning in to be sure to tap into that and listen to your gut feeling that you get. Another thing that we talked about that I wanted to share with you guys is that fear factor. You guys know, if you've heard the show Evicting Fears, that was something that held me back, and as Elizabeth mentioned today, it's something that is going to keep coming back, and the more we face our fears, the better we become getting over those obstacles and being allowed or able to continue to move forward. For those of you who have listened to numerous or all of the shows, you will know that or understand that fear is the underlying factor that was there for anxiety. It's there for almost everything that stops us from becoming our greatest or best selves. It has a lot to do with fear of failure, fear of whatever it is. It's like we have to learn how to let that go. Those chakras, it's a real thing, you guys. It's a real thing. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for joining us today. I really enjoyed talking with you. And thank you, you guys, for tuning in and riding with me each week. Thank you so much. We're now on episode 21, and we only have 3 more shows to go. Thank you so much. I'm Shanta with AuthenticTalks.
There are moments in life when you must make a decision. Do you stay where you are or move forward? It's not always an issue of choosing the easiest outcome. Sometimes you have to consider which option is best for you at the time regardless of how easy it would be to choose differently or to walk away.